We'll go ahead and call this February 18th, 2020 meeting of the Whitefish City Council to order. Sorry, we're running just a bit behind. We had a lengthy discussion at our work session. With that said, we will start with our Pledge of Allegiance, and I would ask, let's see, Chris, how about you lead us this evening, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands.
Thanks, Chris. Steve Quinnell is excused this evening. He had a conflicting commitment with his children. So we'll move on to communications from the public. We do have 3 public hearings tonight, so if you're here to speak on any one of the advertised public hearings, please wait until I call those individual hearings. Otherwise, if you have anything to bring to the attention of the council, now would be your opportunity, and just your name and address for the record, please. Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Chris Schustrom, 504 Spokane Avenue. Just wanted to let the council and city staff and everyone present know that we're going to be taking down the winter decorations this coming Sunday, February 23rd, and volunteers, the council is welcome to join us as always, should meet at the corner of Central and 3rd at 8:45 on Sunday. Should just take a few hours, and all volunteers are treated to lunch at the Great Northern Bar and Grill afterwards. So we'll hope to see you there. It's been a great winter for the decorations. Thanks.
Thanks, Chris, and once again, thanks for all your efforts. Much appreciated. Further public comment tonight? Sir.
Thanks for your guys' effort at a higher elevation. Anyway, there's truckload after truckload coming through this town, and the winds seem to be increasing in this town substantially. The amount of trees on the ground, if you go out in the woods, it isn't just that it's automatically just thinning itself out. They're falling because they have no protection. So I'm here on behalf of trees, and I'm hoping that the city council will try to save what trees they can in town here. I know that your jurisdiction isn't what's out of town, but the logging that's going on just neighboring Whitefish here will affect Whitefish as well. And I think you should jump on it and at least please take a stand on this issue, because we need our trees to survive, period. So that's about it. And I trust that you people have some background in wildlife and trees, so I trust that you'll take a consideration of this. Thank you.
Just for the record, do you mind reading your name and address?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just for the minutes, that's fine.
Chuck Overcast, Whitefish.
Great, thanks, Chuck.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate your comments tonight. Further public comment tonight? We'll stay with the audience. How about volunteer boards? Any volunteer board reports? Not seeing any. How about the council? Frank.
Park board, interesting meeting. The Ice Den is doing quite well these days. They're surviving. They're actually thinking about putting in a mezzanine level that's been, I guess, in their part of their plan for a long time, and they're going to do some fundraising for doing that through the Whitefish or the Community Challenge. I think I'm turned on. Anyway, so that's coming up, and so the park board's doing pretty well.
Great, thanks, Frank. Further reports from the council? Rebecca.
Just strategic housing. We were talking about funding for helping affordable housing. And I guess there's a lot of grants and loan programs. And so I think Dana just wrote in a report that she met with someone. And I got them all jumbled, but there's quite a few of them that we're moving ahead with. And so, and one of them that I was really excited about was could be used to help rehab the homes of existing people that live here that are older. So we could upgrade things for environmental reasons like energy efficiency, and we can get loans for that. So that was pretty exciting to listen to. So anyways, that's all.
Great, thanks, Rebecca. Further reports from the council? Not seeing any. We will move on to our consent agenda. Any changes to the minutes from February 3rd, or can I have a motion for approval, please? Rebecca? Thank you. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Melissa. Further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Those opposed, like sign, and that motion does carry unanimously, Michelle, which brings us on to our public hearings tonight. We'll start with item 6A, which will be Resolution 20-6, a resolution updating the City of Whitefish's rules and regulations for water, sewer, and garbage utilities, and this appears on page 30 of the packet.
Thank you,
Dana.
Mayor and City Council. Tonight, we're bringing forward some significant changes to our rules and regulations. We have been working on this since 2018 as city staff. But to give you some information for the viewing public here, these rules and regulations really govern our water, sewer, and garbage services that we render to our customers. And it provides clear policies for our utility department to follow and protects the city from unreasonable demands, but also protects our customers as well. During the years, we track challenges that we have come forward, things that we could handle more effectively or issues that might be putting the city at risk for litigation. In our 2018 update, as we've been working through it, we realized that these were going to be some substantial updates. We had a work session with the City Council on November 4th, where we presented the current challenges and proposed changes to the rules and regulations. After that work session, the City Council gave us direction to move forward with discussions with property managers within the city, as they would be the most impacted customers. So we met with them in December, on December 15th and 19th, and we were able to come up with an amendment to the proposed changes that would still benefit the city of Whitefish, as well as help property managers with the transitions that we had coming forward. On January 6th, we also updated the council again about these changes. So we've gone through a significant public process so far, but tonight we're holding a public hearing to address or to hear any more public comment for this item and have you consider these changes. Notice was published in the utility bill, so everybody has been noticed of those changes. And we also published notice in the pilot 3 times in accordance with state law, because we are proposing to adjust fees along with the update to the rules and regulations. So this public hearing, as well as the very next one in the meeting this evening, really go hand in hand. So I'll just present this one staff report if that's okay. We have 5 big areas that I'll just lightly touch on that have been changed in the rules and regulations. I did include a red line version for your reading pleasure, but it's very difficult to read. As you'll see, there are very many red lines, so we also included a clean copy with the resolution. But the first big change is that we would not be requiring deposits of any of our customers. All current deposits will be applied to the customer accounts and refunded for all accounts that were set up in a renter's name. We also have all accounts would be remaining in the name of the owner or authorized property manager. Renters would no longer be coming in to sign up for service. As you know, through our other meetings, we've seen a significant increase in account turnovers. And so this is a way to reduce staff time focused in this one area, and instead we can focus on all of our customers more equitably. We will also have the owners or authorized property managers receiving the monthly utility bill. However, to help property managers manage their rental properties, we will also have the option to mail the utility bill to the actual property address for the tenant. It would read property manager, care of renter's name. Late notices, however, would be sent to both the owner and the tenant if that was chosen as an option for the tenant to have their name on the account as a resident. We are also changing the way that utility bills are being paid. We would still have them payable on the 20th of the month. Late notices, however, will not be mailed until the 25th, and no late fee assessment will be applied at that time. Right now, there's a $10 fee that is applied on the 21st. So we're a little bit more lenient in giving a 5-day window. But when door tags are hung, which would be on around the 29th of the month, the fee would be $25, which is an increase from the current fee of $15. I said that backward, yeah. Water service will be turned off 5 days later if no payment has been made. And that fee will have increased from $40 to $50, but same timing. So what we're trying to do is allow just a little bit longer window before the initial late fee is assessed, as we heard that by the time we mail out the late notices the day after it's due, most people either hadn't had time to pay or they were did not receive that notice until after a payment was made. So it was kind of a way to meet in the middle on the timing of when bills are due. The city will also be processing billing for garbage services. So that was one of the big issues that we discussed with our property managers that we met with. And having one bill for all of their utilities would make it it would make it an easier transition for them. So we would have, garbage would then go from billing by public service to billing by the city. We would bill on a monthly basis instead of quarterly, which is what Republic uses at this time. And that way, property managers can more easily prorate their utility bills between their renters. The city would no longer be prorating bills. We also have some other changes within the rules and regulations that are more for clarifications or documentations of our current policies. We anticipate that this implementation process will take quite a bit of time. We have, I think, over 2,000 or over 2,500 rental accounts right now, so we'll have a lot of changeover in there as long as deposits. So 5 months is how long we'll be looking at implementing the entire process. However, we will not have this resolution be effective until we have a signed contract with Republic Service. So those 5 months will start as soon as Republic Service and the city come to an agreement on a new contract. We of course hope that that can be sooner rather than later so that we can have this implemented by September. So if you have any questions about the rules and regulations, I'd be happy to answer them now. And we recommend that council would approve the updates. Any financial issues, we might see a reduction in late fees, but I think we'll also see an increase in our other fees. So I think it'll be fairly neutral. More so, we'll actually save staff time to work on other areas of our accounts, monitoring summer averaging, monitoring what rate codes are in our system, and so forth. So if this is approved after the public hearing by the city council, then I would ask that you consider the second resolution in the public hearing. Otherwise, do not move forward with the next public hearing, or at least I would not recommend approval of the next public hearing if this does not go forward. So I can answer any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Dana. Any questions for Dana on item 6A of the agenda or her staff report? Rebecca?
Okay, sorry. We got a letter from someone talking about being on a fixed income. And could you just talk to the public a little bit about what kind of programs are available? That's one question. Second one is the averaging. We got another letter on that. Who's eligible for that? How do people sign up for that? I think that's all I can think of right now.
All right. So the first question related to the low-income assistance that we have at the city. When the council adopted rates, we did change that, and back in the fall, actually it was when we did the full rate study, we changed it so that we have a low-income rate. It is based on the LEAP program, the Low Income Energy Assistance Program. So if someone was interested in having a low-income rate with the city for water and sewer, they would apply through LEAP, which is down in Kalispell. They would be able to then, they provide documentation to the city. Those rates are significantly lower than our regular rates, so we do have that assistance available. Again, if they're taking advantage of LEAP, they're taking advantage of the energy cost savings as well with heating and cooling. So there are resources out there. Again, with this, by not requiring a deposit for service, that will just be one more way of reducing that cost burden to sign up for service. So someone who is low income coming into the city would then not have to come up with $150 for a deposit for water and sewer service. However, whether the property managers, if they are renting, has that part of their contract, that will be up to them. If their deposits are gonna go up, I can't speak for them on that. The second question on, wow, I just spaced. Averaging. Thank you, averaging. I did see that we had a comment on averaging. Our averaging is used purposefully for those that are residents. So we take an average of their normal usage. I have to look it up because I'm going to say it wrong. I'll look at, what's the months? See, I got October to May, right? Okay. Yeah, okay, thanks. I'm pretty sure. Okay, October to May, you have to be here. It has to be consistent usage. It can't be where you're gone for a few months, because then the average doesn't average correctly. It would be a much lower average. So we have always had it be that it's going to be somebody who lives here year round. During those months at least, they would have the average. So the comment we got was for somebody who's not here during a few winter months. Unfortunately, that's not how, we have not addressed that or changed that within these updated rules and regulations. We will, however, as we move forward with the changeover to property manager accounts, if we have tenants in there consistently, we will take an average with that. But it's when somebody's gone for 2 or 3 months out of the year, we are not applying an average.
Frank, follow up?
Dana, correct me if I'm wrong, that we use the averaging, and particularly this one addressed issues associated with an inappropriate cost associated with their irrigation during the summer. On those accounts where they have chosen, they can put in an irrigation meter and deal with that problem separately from using an averaging method and then adding the bump for that being the irrigation, correct? So they have that option to fix their own problem.
Yeah, that is correct. So anybody can install a separate irrigation meter as well. And there is a base rate, but it's only during, again, I think that's June to October. The other 6 months out of the year, there's a base rate, and then they get an irrigation rate. It depends on how much irrigation you're using, which one is better, but even any homeowner can apply for that.
Thanks, Dana. Rebecca.
Out of my last question, which is, it's not going to come through this process, but I'm wondering if we could just tag it for the future, that people could pay a little bit extra to have their accounts monitored when they're out of town, or notice. We talked about it in the work session, but I don't think we're doing anything officially other than designating personnel for that, right? But is there some way that we could keep that on the radar? Just because I've had a couple of friends that were out of town and their water bill was $1,000 and they didn't know they'd had a busted pipe, and so I'm just wanted to kind of keep that there because we have so many people that travel.
So the intent behind this is reducing staff time focused on account turnovers. We will have staff time to monitor usage with us going to our remote reading system here shortly. We will also have an ability to more closely monitor accounts, but I would not say at this time we're going to monitor a specific account. We do have, when we get to the next resolution regarding the fees, we do have a data logging fee that we've created. So if somebody was interested in pulling data off of their meter, we would do so at a fee, but you know, that can be very repetitive. If we didn't charge a fee, we'd have people coming in asking every month for that. That gets time consuming, so there is an option for getting your data logging information to see how your meter's doing. But that being said, the intent is that we have more time to monitor and more quickly address leaks if we find one that seems unusual.
Further questions for Dana on her staff report? Not seeing any. We did advertise for a public hearing on item 6A of our agenda, and we'll hold that public hearing now. Is there any public comment on this item? Ben? Name and address for the record, please.
Ben Cavan, 2130 Houston Drive. As I understood the discussion just now, I would be billed monthly for garbage, and I'm opposed to that. I like this thing where we pay every quarter. And I deduce that the reason we're going to be billed monthly is because of renters, so maybe you could have a split system where renters pay monthly and us other people don't pay monthly. I'd like to have that given more thought anyway. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Ben. Further public testimony? Further comments? Not seeing any. I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and turn it back to the council for a motion. Andy?
I would move, I think I'm on there, I would move that we approve resolution number 20-06, a resolution updating the City of Whitefish rules and regulations for water, sewer, and garbage utilities.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilor Sweeney. Further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Those opposed, like sign, and that motion does carry unanimously, Michelle. Thanks, Dana. And we'll stay with Dana and move on to item 6B, resolution 20-7, which is a resolution revising fees charged for city utility services.
Thank you. Just as a follow-up to the recent approval of the last resolution, these will be updating the fees to go with those changes. So the first late fee will be reduced to $0. The door tag fee will be increased $10 to a $25 fee. And then the turn-off fee for delinquent accounts would be going up from $40 to $50. We are not changing your water or sewer rates for actual usage. These are just fees that we're addressing. Deposit for service will go down. Turn on and turn off service fees will remain the same. So that's, say you call in and you say, I'm leaving, I want my water turned off. We'll go out and turn off your water for you. If you need us to come back out and turn it on, that's another $25 fee. So we're just recouping the actual cost of staff time going out to the property and doing so. Same with the call-out fee. We're actually increasing that from $60 to $100. We looked at the average cost of sending a public works personnel out there on, and call-out would be outside of regular business hours, so we're paying an overtime rate, loaded wages. So we've actually, that has increased to $100. While significant, again, we are just recouping our costs on these fees. Flat rate utility, flat rate per utility, so that is when an account, we do not have a meter that is reading, and sometimes we have individuals who still have meters within their homes. They might not let us into their home to replace their meter, so we come up with a flat rate. Currently it's $100 per utility, so with water and sewer service it'd be $200 a month. We're increasing that to $250 a month. We know in summer that might not cover the actual cost, but over the average of the year it would. We really do try to get these individuals to replace their meters. Sometimes it takes a while of them paying the flat rate utility fee to do so. The other changes, we just added a data logging fee and then a customer requested meter read. So we read meters once a month when we do our billing. If there was somebody who wanted to go out and read the meter, we could do so at a different time. But newer fees that we haven't had. And then the inspection fee, we were increasing, again, due to staff time, assuming that they're out there for about half an hour drive time. So if you have any questions, I respectfully recommend that you approve the resolution.
Thanks, Dana. Any questions for Dana on her staff report? Not seeing any. We did advertise for a public hearing on what will be resolution 20-7. Is there any public testimony this evening? Any public comment? Not seeing any. I'll close the public hearing and turn it back to the council for a motion. Rebecca.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 20-7.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Counselor Hartman. Further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Those opposed, like sign, and that's unanimous as well. Dana and Michelle, thank you. Which moves us quickly on to item 6C, which will be our own resolution 20-8, a resolution to establish a fee for team recreation programs. This is on page 120 of your packet. Maria.
Good evening. The Parks and Recreation Department has historically run a wide variety of youth recreation programs. However, the success and sustainability of the adult programs has somewhat eluded us in the past. With the addition of our rec programmer, Stephen Kostev, we've been able to begin conceptualizing some new offerings that we would like to serve for the adult community. One such program would be men's basketball at the Wave, which we have been working on. So we would like to begin offering team sport opportunities for adults, but also for youths, and our current fee schedule is really just based upon the individual participant rates. Therefore, staff has developed a tier system for the new team recreation programs, and that is pictured above. Staff assess the cost of each program and the necessary level of participation in each program in order to determine a fee to recover associated costs. Schedule has been broken into tiers based on the typical number of participants in a team. This tier schedule will allow us to be able to try out a variety of recreational offerings without having to continually develop new fee schedules for each program. On February 11th, the Park Board unanimously moved to recommend the Whitefish City Council approve the proposed team recreation fee schedule, and we did advertise for a public hearing in the Daily Interlake on February 9th and February 16th. We do not see that the implementation of this would require any additional financial resources, and I'm here to answer any of the questions you may have.
Thanks, Maria. Any questions for Maria on her staff report? Not seeing any. We did advertise for a public hearing on resolution 20-8, item 6C of our agenda. Is there any public testimony this evening? Not seeing any. I'll close the public hearing and turn it back to the council. Frank.
I would like to move to approve resolution 20-08, resolution establishing a fee for team recreation programs.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilor Hennon. Further discussion?
I'd just like to confirm that the Parks Board reviewed this matter, and we were questioned it only in the fact making sure that we were competitive with the other communities around town, around the valley in terms of what we were charging for these, and we are. So I think Maria's done a great job in setting this thing up.
Great. Thanks, Frank. Further comments? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Those opposed, like sign, and that motion carries unanimously as well. Thanks, Maria.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll move on to item 7A. We'll move back to Dana. You have Dana's report enclosed with the packet. Any questions for Dana? Andy?
It's not on this, but it's on the financial report on page 22.
Okay.
I can find it here. Column B, first number. $11,950,639. I assume that's a typo.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely a typo. Thank you for catching that. No idea how that actually happened, because I copied that over, but yeah, thank you.
That's my only question.
Maybe because you're doing two jobs.
I promise the quality will go up.
It's like, wow, we really went down this year.
Yeah. No, the change is the positive $365,000 that we've gone up in the general fund for cash.
That's my only question.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for Dana? Dana, anything additional to report on between our last meeting and today?
I do. I have a couple things. The Wave celebrated 15 years this last weekend. That's a really neat accomplishment. And so they have, you know, some Wave 15-year things going around. Hopefully we'll see something this summer. I have really great news that we have officially hired a finance director. So my life will get better, and I promise the quality will go up as I'm back to doing one job. Ben Dahlman, he's from Adams County, Colorado. He's been with that county for 21 years, so he'll be joining our team in April. He's came on site, visited with staff. On Friday, we had done a Skype interview. It was a fantastic interview, a very qualified candidate. Currently, he's serving as finance director of a department of 77 people, and he wanted to move to a small mountain town and had been to Whitefish, and I think they've found their home here. So we're very excited to have him join our team. I have another one on, if you haven't heard about confetti on Central Avenue, well, we definitely have. I have spoken with the event organizer for the Whitefish Winter Carnival Parade, and while they do have it in their contract with floats that they're not allowed to throw candy, they're to hand out candy, I guess somebody did not think that that also applied to confetti. So next year, though, the event organizer said they would make sure that confetti was not thrown from any floats. Our Public Works Department has been trying hard to get that cleaned up. We had hoped that we'd have some snow this weekend to move the confetti and plow that maybe and put it at the snow lot, and we'll clean it up in the spring, but that didn't happen. All the snow went south. So they had been out this morning trying to sweep the streets using shovels where they can. They'll keep it on their list, try to tomorrow, but we have had calls. But we are aware of the issue, and the news station also will be running a story tonight. So, and then last, well, I guess we touched on the housing committee. Rebecca did, but we will be coming forward at our next work session, and I really hope everybody's here. We'll be able to hear what the plan is moving forward, and talk about what the financial feasibility of that project came out as. And finally, I know that the recycling was somewhat informational, but it would be good if I had some direction on negotiating, whether I negotiate or go talk to the school first or start talking to the Mountain Mall. It would be nice if I just had some forward direction, because with the passage of the recent resolution, our next step is to get the contract with Republic Service nailed down, and this is going to be one of the sticking points, I have a feeling, with them. So any direction would be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can we hold that till the end of the meeting?
Absolutely.
Under councilor comments?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Dana. We'll start with communications from City Council. Frank, anything to report tonight?
Nothing to report, but if you want my comment on the recycling.
Please.
I'll be happy to provide that. Dana, at least I think probably the better choice is the area around the Mountain Mall, for various reasons, its location. I'm concerned, as much as it might be nice to put it down around the high school, I'm a little concerned about adding additional traffic to that area, given the complaints we've recently heard from the community about the existing traffic problems. I think adding more large trucks to that area for recycling would be probably not welcomed. And I think that the location at the Mountain Mall can be very well screened, and so I don't think it'll have an impact on the surrounding neighborhoods.
Is that the general consensus of the council?
Yes.
Rebecca? No? Okay. You can speak to that, sure. Yep.
I'd actually like you to look at both options if possible. Just when I was on the planning board, we did a lot of approval of that whole area. So it's going to be really dense at some point. And that lake is a natural lake, and so I have some concerns about recycling in that area, but also my vision of recycling for our community was much bigger than that. And so I've been kind of looking at that for a number of years, and I kind of thought we were going to, at some point, look at the area near the wastewater treatment plant where we could have even more going on, like yard waste and a plastic thing, and just my vision was bigger than just what we have over by the railroad. So maybe we'll grow to that, but I think the sooner the better. So I like the idea that Karen brought up of at least looking at what the school is doing, since most of that building will be used for storage is what I understood. But thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. So we have two options on the table from what I've heard. One would be to pursue the Mountain Mall exclusively, the other being both Mountain Mall as well as the school district. Are there any preferences? Showing of hands for Frank's quote motion. How about for Rebecca's?
I mean, I'm not opposed to looking at the high school site also, though I think traffic over there is a huge issue. But if we have multiple sites, then obviously people are gonna spread themselves out a little bit, hopefully, although we've kind of hoped that would happen at trailheads, and that hasn't really happened, so. I guess I wouldn't be opposed to looking at the high school site also, but I think my preference, if we had to make a choice, I would be the Mountain Mall site for sure.
Rebecca, maybe we can move forward with the Mountain Mall site just to expedite the agreement with Republic Services, and that certainly doesn't preclude us down the road from engaging the Center for Sustainability, for example. And I like your idea of thinking, bigger picture about our entire recycling program, but in the spirit of trying to get this contract negotiated, we can certainly, prioritize that as a council though moving forward. Okay, so we'll go ahead and negotiate with Mountain Mall and keep this on the top of our goals list as a council, assuming we get support for that at our council retreat.
Great.
Thanks, Frank. Melissa?
No comments.
Thanks, Melissa. Ryan?
No comment.
Thanks, Ryan. Andy?
Is it appropriate for comments on the bridge and the
Yeah, let's
underpass?
get it done.
I guess a couple of things that I'd like to see as we move forward. This would be a John question. You said that we would be saving a lot of money if we were to do it in conjunction with the underpass project. So I guess if we could have some kind of idea what we would be looking at for a percentage saving on that, because we had one member of the public stand up and go, well, do one and then do the other. And obviously there's significant savings. We'd certainly want to consider that as an option at this point. And I guess then this is maybe more of a Craig question on that. I think would help us make a decision a little bit is maybe a priority of what we're going to be spending those discretionary dollars on that we have $1 million in the account for. What other projects are out there wanting for money at this point and how urgent they are. And then we could maybe prioritize a little bit and we could say, yeah, we're throwing $1 million at this right now, or it's not. We have something that's a greater need. So that would be my only two questions on that, or comments, I guess. So, and obviously that would have to be done relatively soon, as we are under a time crunch, as we know. So,
Are those urban dollars is that the only source of revenue we have available for those improvements? Obviously TIF is going to be tapped. I mean,
Yeah, would think that there could potentially be an argument for resort tax dollars. We'd have to research that a little bit more. Yeah, TIF would be the next logical, or the most logical. And I don't know that we've ever really formally talked about other projects for the urban funds that have actually come forward to council or been discussed with MDT, but we could easily compile a list of things that have been mentioned, at least in the past, so we can kind of go through those. The most prominent of which that I think of is turning lanes for Wisconsin Avenue, from Edgewood to, let's say, Reservoir Road.
Yep. Okay. Further comments on that topic before we move on to the actual underpass? Andy?
I just have another council comment, I guess.
You want to, let's try to wrap this one up.
Okay.
Get
Yeah.
John out the door here. Any further comments on the viaduct improvements? I kind of liked Andy's idea of having Craig come back to us with, the source of revenue and what those dollars may be used for, and then we can prioritize from there.
Yep.
That seem reasonable? Okay. Then in terms of the underpass, I believe we need direction on the size. So whether it's a 20 by 12 or 24 by 12, you had the cost estimates at the work session, whether we go with the Keystone block or the large block. I don't think we need to get into the architectural, aspects of those two options. And then thirdly, of course, would be the lighting, whether we go with the first option, which was, remind me, utility
Yeah, the first option
lighting.
is really sort of a utility grade lighting. Gets the job done. It'll still be bright and well lit, but it'll be essentially a series of spotlights through. And then the second one, for about a $50,000 upgrade, gets us the more even kind of wash of light that gives us the ability to control color and lighting temperature, and perhaps down the road add different features to the lighting.
What would your recommendation, Craig, be
In
terms of lighting?
I think, from what I've seen in the presentations thus far and the projects that we looked at, lighting is a pretty important element. And I feel like $50,000 is probably a worthwhile fee so that we don't cut ourselves short down the road. The lighting designer, who's out of Denver, has done a lot of underpass work and really, I think, made it pretty clear that lighting can make or break a project. And so it would seem like, you know, on a $1.5 million project, $50,000 is probably a worthwhile expense at this point, so that we can, down the road, if we want to, add more architectural features, but at least get the ability to control the color through the tunnel so it feels more warm and welcoming.
Great. Appreciate the feedback. Let's start with the size of the structure. Is there a preference on 20 by 12?
20 by 12 for me.
20 by 12?
20 by 12, yeah.
Okay, that seems unanimous. How about in terms of the keystone versus the large block option?
Large block,
Large block and lighting.
wall wash, architectural.
Architectural? All right. John, does that provide you adequate direction to move forward? Great. Thanks for sticking around tonight. Appreciate it. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
Andy, anything else?
I just do want to take a minute because I seem to be, not that I'm the one that does read the obituaries, but I just happen to have served with a lot of these people over time. I just want to, just a quick moment for Edwin Fields, who I did serve with, who passed away last week. I actually lost in my first election to Edwin by 31 votes, so there you go. But anyway, he was a good counselor, did not serve that long. He moved out of town not long after he was elected, so. But I think, as John recalled, I think he was instrumental in the foundation of our original Lakeshore Protection Committee, and yeah, he was a good person and a good community member, and he will be missed by many, so.
Thanks, Andy. Certainly will be missed. Rebecca?
Yes, first off, I got contacted by a radio, and they'd like to interview city councilors. So is anybody else interested?
Which radio?
KGEZ, or I always get them mixed up, so
The 800 AM?
I don't know. I think it's the one that you do regularly.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're still doing that regularly?
I do it once a month.
Yeah, I was so charmed that you did that for the city.
Oh,
So,
thanks.
yeah, I never knew that because I don't listen that much to radio. But if anybody else is interested, they would like us to have regular contact because it's, so talk to me. And I have to talk to Angie and Dana if, like, what if you say something wrong? You know, that's the only part that I worry about.
If you are to go on the radio, just one suggestion would be to kind of tee up a subject that you want to talk about
Yeah,
and provide that to Brian, and then they can get that in the queue for John.
okay.
It's just an idea to keep,
I've only
so you're
done one
prepared. and-
interview.
yeah.
It was fun. I mean, it was fun, but,
That's what I typically do, is they ask me for topics and,
oh, you
know,
come up
we-
with a subject?
yeah, or they do. You know,
Okay.
they look at our packets and the upcoming agendas, and they might want to talk about an upcoming agenda item. With that, I'd just be cautious if it's quasi judicial.
Well,
You
oh,
shouldn't
yeah.
discuss it on the
Yeah, but
radio.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm getting used to this role about speaking for the city. Like, there's a lot to know, and you know it all, but like, yeah. Anyways, so that's something that would be fun if anybody else is interested. Dylan Boyle from the Whitefish Conventioners and Visitors Center sent this idea of, there's an interest in historic preservation, and there's a grant that could be written in the next 10 days to maybe do an inventory of what we might consider would be savable. And so I'm going to talk to Dana more about that. That when I was campaigning, that was a big reach from some people. They want to make sure that whatever we can preserve that looks historic, we might have a way to do that. And I know you said we should talk about that at our counselor retreat, but this is a quick turnaround.
So with those types of requests, Rebecca, are you meeting with Dana to ask if staff has the capacity to actually write the grant within the next 10 days? Or
Well-
just generally about the topic of historic preservation?
So I did ask Dana for 2 seconds right before our last meeting how it works. So it might be too quick, but she thinks it'll be coming up again. So, but I wanted you to know that the community is interested and there might be funding for that purpose. And then I also had communicated with Dave Fern, who's our representative to the, in Helena, and he got through a law where there's funding for affordable housing. So 4 different cities in the state are doing that. And he's also working on the septic leachate legislation with Hillary Hansen with the county health department. So I don't know if we were working on that with them as well, because that's come up recently.
Doesn't ring a bell.
I know, I just don't know when to bring this stuff up with everybody, because I don't really see you except for here.
That's fine.
But I know we're all tired by the end of the meeting. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to bring up was something that Chuck brought up was about trees, that we do have an arborist on staff, and we have an urban forest with, I want to say, over 7,000 trees, and we do take care of them. Possibly the reason why we're having logging is because we're doing fire suppression activities in Haskell Basin. And that's to protect the city, and that's been in play for about, is it 6 years or 7 years that we've been planning that? Longer? Do you think that's part of the reason he might be seeing so many logs? I don't know. But we do take care of our trees in the city with a tree committee, an arborist. We have a software program for monitoring all of the health of the trees when we take them down, when we plant them. And so we are really into trees in the city, and I just wanted the citizens to know that. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. Appreciate the comments. I've got a couple. Was fortunate to spend a little bit of time with Ben this weekend. Dana put me in touch with him, our incoming finance director. As Dana mentioned, he quickly rose to the top of the candidate pile. You know, when we interviewed all 4 candidates, he's a class act, very personable. And what really resonated with him is not only he's going to be a great fit for the city, but while we were skiing and just getting to know each other, his comments about staff and how much respect he only met you guys for about an hour and a half, and he had nothing but glowing remarks, and the teamwork that you guys have, created amongst yourselves was very evident to him, and I think that was a very strong reason why he accepted the position, and he clearly felt very highly of Dana and her capabilities. So congrats to staff. I think he's going to be a wonderful addition to what's already, in my opinion, the best executive team that we've assembled since I've sat up here. So congrats, Dana, for recruiting Ben to become our next finance director. Craig, when I was coming over the viaduct, I've actually been meaning to bring this up, when the Samara Art Gallery was built next to the old KFC building and bagel place, we have a railway district wayfinding sign that's basically blocked now by their canopy. Do we have any plans to relocate that wayfinding sign?
You know, we've talked about it on a couple of occasions, and just haven't moved forward with moving it. They built that canopy, I believe, through an MDT encroachment permit. And so we didn't review it prior to that canopy going in, but it's evident that the sign needs to be moved.
Okay.
So, yeah, the city will take care of that. We're gonna have to relocate it, I think, at this point.
I was just curious.
Yep.
Great, thanks. I'd be remiss if I didn't, like Andy, Andy actually sent me Mike Cronquist's obituary this week as well. Mike was an outstanding individual. He actually served as the city's owner representative for the construction of City Hall and the parking structure, and hats off to Mike, because that was a very convoluted and heated process that went on for years, and Mike handled it very well with diligent updates to the city council at most meetings during the construction process. So I just wanted to acknowledge Mike tonight. We'll miss him, and certainly send my condolences to his family. With that said, anything additional from staff? How about the council? Thank you. We are adjourned.